everyone. Thank you guys so much for watching our show. Let's get into this week's juicy news. All right, so let's talk about Gwen Levi. Gwen Levi has finally been released from prison. As you guys probably know, she is a 76-year-old Black woman. She's a grandmother, and she was just recently thrown back into prison for missing a phone call from her case manager due to her being in a computer skills class. So here she was just trying to further her education after being released the first time, and she missed that phone call from the case manager, was thrown back in jail, but the public said no. There was a huge outcry. Color of Change jumped in along with her attorneys, and they were able to get Gwen Levi released. So we are happy about that news. Next, we're going to dive into Drake. I know that you guys are all anticipating Drake's new album. I am looking forward to it as well. A lot of people are talking about how they believe it's going to be like another Take Care album. And so we're looking forward to that album, Certified Lover Boy. So Drake, what are you waiting on? We're waiting on that release, that album release. All right, so let's get into those lifestyle and beauty highlights. Okay, you guys, let's talk about Beyonce's brand Ivy Park and its collaboration with Adidas. Now, I was scrolling through Instagram casually, and I came across Beyonce's Instagram page, and I seen that she promoted a video for her brand Ivy Park, and I got super excited, so I clicked on it, and when I tell you, the video itself pulled me in. I'm super excited for this collaboration. I seen a couple tracksuits, I seen some athleisure, I also seen some comfy loungewear, so stay tuned for that. It is launching August 20th, so mark your calendars, ladies and gentlemen, mark your calendars. Let's get into my next topic, which is fall time. Fall time is approaching, which means it's time for us to retire the bright clothes. I know I'm excited, but I'm also sad to see the bright colors go. But let's get into this fall fashion. I am so excited for fall, just for the clothes. Now, a really popular clothing item that I can see working its way towards the fall time season is the wide leather pants. So the wide leg leather pants, or the straight legs. I love them. You see them on Kendall, Kylie, Beyonce. You see them on any celebrity, and it just looks so chic, so beautiful. So I'm really excited about that. Let's get into the sunglass of the summer. This handy dandy boy right here, I got it on Amazon. It's just a really chic square sunglass. I can definitely see these sunglasses going on for another couple of years, so you might want to grab yours, add it to the cart. I will leave a link down below. And let's get into this week's special guest. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Today we have a very special guest who is the entrepreneur and founder, owner, CEO of the nonprofit organization Resilience is Power. Without further ado, we have Mr. Michael Mckenzie. Welcome.
Hello, thank you for having me. Yeah, I appreciate being here. Thank you so much.
Welcome. All right, so we are going to go ahead and dive right on into the questions. I'll be looking down periodically to read through the questions, and then we'll go ahead and get started. Okay.
Awesome.
All right, so the first question we have is, Reach and Teach Association believes that success starts from within. Can you tell the viewers, what does success look like to you? And do you agree
with that statement?
Yes, success is individual. And I think that we live in a society where we often look at other people's accomplishments and want to achieve what other people have achieved.
Right.
But I think success is individual, and it's based on, these personal goals that we set for ourselves, and whether or not we can answer whether or not we're walking in our personal why. And so if you could answer that question, you can quantify success for yourself. And it's not about money or materialistic things, but it's about, how do you feel about the goals that you're setting for yourself? And how do you feel, within about who you are and the impact you're making on this world?
Right. I completely and 100% agree with you there. So, how did the idea of your business come about? First and foremost, just give us a little brief synopsis about your business, and then kind of share with us how did it come about?
Yes, so Resilience is Power Program is a nonprofit organization, and the difference between a nonprofit organization and a for-profit is basically that I can't sell the organization, should someone take over. So the idea came about long ago when I was teaching.
Okay.
And I felt as if there has to be extensions within the community that help young people build resilience, that help them build life skills, that provide strategic and sustainable support so that they can then navigate their individual life, liberty, and happiness.
Okay.
And so I benefited from people who mentored me, people who gave back to me. And so our program's mission is to nurture strong and resilient future urban and water leaders, plus resilient BIPOC communities, and that's Black, indigenous people of color.
Okay, nice. So tell us, how did it come about?
Yep, the program came about, again, with me just wanting to have my own organization to impact young people and communities in a way that can really see change in terms of social justice, environmental justice, and honestly to kind of get away from some of the limitations in the public school system. And so within the public school system, there's so many barriers and gaps to actually reaching young people where they need to be reached. And so the idea to form essentially a community-based organization was to hurdle those gaps.
Okay.
And to, just impact young people from an individualized level, and to impact communities based on things that are very important.
Okay, so I heard you say social justice and environmental justice. Tell us more about
Absolutely.
The environmental justice.
Yes, so the environmental justice piece, what we do is work with underserved communities. And we organize community cleanups. In that process, we pay young people to engage in those community cleanups.
Okay.
And so those young people, the message that we're sending is, it's your community, it's valuable, and we plant the seeds for them to be future leaders in their community. At the same time, what we do is nurture their interest in environmental STEM fields.
Okay.
So then we'll expose young people to all of the amazing fields in environmental STEM fields, such as hydrology, Environmental Protection Agency, civil engineering, all of these things that impact their communities that public schools often don't expose them to.
Okay.
So, for example, if a community is always flooding, that's an issue with hydrology.
Right. Right.
And our premise is that our young people should be the people that solve those problems in the future. So one of our signature programs is our Future Urban Water Leader Program.
Okay.
And so that's how we've merged environmental justice with social justice. And that's how we, again, can quantify our mission to develop strong and resilient future urban water and community leaders and impact resilient BIPOC communities.
That's awesome. Awesome. So what was the driving force that was the driving force to help you to want to become an entrepreneur? What was your driving force?
I think the driving force is, one, freedom. But secondly, I grew up where Cancer Alley begins in Louisiana. And so I was always fascinated by the high rates of cancer, how easily it flooded in the community. And yet we had all of these billion-dollar corporations around us. And so essentially my passion is born out of my personal why. My passion for this organization is born out of, personal why to want to nurture change and using my influence and my experience to do so. Okay.
So how did you raise the money to get this program started, or did you have to raise any money? How did it all come about?
Absolutely. And so one of the advantages of a nonprofit organization is that there are many funding opportunities that align with environmental justice and social justice initiatives.
Okay.
But at the same time, it's a business. And so there's an investment that has to be made in terms of startup costs, marketing, building a website, all those things that, we know are normal business needs.
Right.
And so those were initial investments, that come about like any other small business will need.
How did you?
And so,
go ahead.
Yeah. So essentially, it's just going through the normal startup phase of a business.
Okay. So how did you come up with the name?
Yeah, resilience is just core to who I am. It was one of my first tattoos in college. Being a college football player. At the time, we thought it was cool to get tattoos. But obviously, I didn't want anything that didn't have meaning. So one of my first tattoos was resilient.
Okay.
And this was in the late 90s. But I always felt like that embodied who I am. And it means that for me, no matter what, you will get back up. And I think that if you are Black in this country, the American dream has to be steeped in resilience, or you will give up. Because you know that 3 times better theory is real. And so for me, resilience is power. And I think that it embodies who I am, but I also thought it was a cool name for an organization.
Yeah, it's almost
and
like...
only
good. I was going to
the
say it's
initiatives
almost...
stem around resilience.
It's almost like you were planting a seed. You know, when you got the tattoo way back in the 90s, you were planting a seed that you didn't even know was going to blossom later on down the road in life into the program that you have today. So you were already, you know, planting that seed. So that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think it's also too a part of like hip hop tradition, in that you'll find organizations or companies name their company based on like a gritty core value. You know, whether it's No Limit Records or you know, Rockefeller Records, which is like, we want to be the next Rockefeller. And so I think for me, Resilience's power program is like it leans on that tradition of being bold about what we stand for.
Okay. So who inspired you?
I'm inspired by many people. But one of our initiatives is a scholarship program. And so I named the scholarship program after some people that had a major impact on me.
Okay.
Coach Roach was one of those people. So he picked me up from school every single day. He helped with my tuition in high school, gave me odd jobs so that I didn't have to go and rob anybody. Looked out for me when I was in college. And for me, I believe that it's important to give our people the roses while they're still here. So the Roach Bowie Moncrief Scholarship, it honors people who instill resilience in me. And obviously there's Medgar Evers and Martin Luther King and Malcolm X and those people, but my scholarship is named after people who instill resilience in me, and who essentially I'm looking to pay it forward.
Okay, so I know that this program is kind of centered towards helping build up and support the youth. Can you tell us more about your background professionally that may have kind of led you into this direction as well?
Yes, I have a background in education. I am an educator, but I also consider myself a social entrepreneur.
Okay.
And so I've been a school leader. I've taught many subjects, and a lot of who I am is centered around education, but more so the social justice aspect of education, like really wanting to see young people overcome odds, more so than passing an achievement test. You know, and I've always felt as if young people can forget algebra, but they won't forget who looked out for them. and that carries them on through adulthood.
Exactly.
And so I feel like I'm a strong social justice advocate. I'm an educator, social entrepreneur. I've started many businesses. I'm a writer. I publish books.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm interested in many things, and I try to use those skills to run this organization.
Okay. So I heard you mention, you talk about, what's going on in the public school system, and that was also a stepping stone to you taking the steps to start up your program. What are some things that, well, I'll just ask you this. How do you feel about the public school today, and what changes do you see your program, making for students in this generation today?
Yeah, well, one thing is that it's important to mention I'm finishing a doctorate
Okay.
at Columbia University,
Mm-hmm.
and my study looks at media framing of urban schools.
Okay.
And so often there's a deficit narrative
Mm-hmm.
around urban public schools. However, I believe that public schools deal with more social issues than any other public entity within our government structure.
Mm-hmm.
So it's overburdened.
Mm.
And so for me, I'm a supporter of public schools.
Mm-hmm.
I believe teachers should be paid more. I believe that at the same time, public schools are indebted to the standardized tests.
Mm.
I think public schools can and should be more creative to meet the needs of the community.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, what I want is for my organization is to be a partner and supporter of public schools,
Mm-hmm.
and not antagonist or an adversary for public schools.
Okay.
Hence why I didn't want to start a charter school.
Mm.
I felt as though it would help public schools for my resilient lab
Mm-hmm.
to offer ACT support for young people in the high school
Okay.
versus starting a charter school,
Mm-hmm.
taking students, which oftentimes are the best students,
Mm-hmm.
from the public high school.
Okay.
So my vision is that Resilience is Power program,
Mm-hmm.
and our key initiative, Resilient Lab, is a supporter and partner of public schools.
Okay. Okay. So, what's your favorite aspect about being an entrepreneur?
I think it's the freedom and that the opportunity to have hope and control it.
Mm-hmm.
Oftentimes, we see people who just don't know what their why is,
Mm-hmm.
so they take a job and they essentially are working in someone else's why.
Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing wrong with working. We all have to work. I work for someone. But I think that if we can find something that we'll do for free, then I think it's a driving force for our passion.
Mm-hmm. I'm glad you mentioned that. That's one thing that I used to promote when I was in the classroom is, discovering when it comes to discovering your gifts and your talents. figure out what it is that you could do in this world for absolutely free. And you find enjoyment, and you have a passion and a love for that. When a person is able to find that, then that's your calling. That's your gift. That's a part of your contribution to the world. So I'm glad you mentioned that. Finding something.
And that thing could be multiple things.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
So for me, the Resilience is Power program, we have a clothing line, which is Resilience is Art.
Okay.
And when I was younger, I used to love making money cutting grass.
Mm-hmm.
And so this was before the crack epidemic. Everybody kept their yards up in the hood.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me to now get back in neighborhoods to help clean them up,
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I love doing it.
Mm-hmm.
I love being outside. I love nature. We're very natural people.
Mm-hmm.
We are clean people.
Mm-hmm.
We are organic, and we are agrarian in nature.
Mm-hmm.
So when we have our young people out there, you can see them loving being outside in a tribe, cleaning up their communities.
Mm.
And so, again, doing those things are things I love.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so, although it's a young organization, I do have high hopes of building a formidable, well-funded force around all of those initiatives.
Okay.
To continue to impact people.
So what does your recruitment process look like? I know you mentioned earlier that you're in partnership with the public schools as a supporter, but what does your recruitment process look like?
Yeah, at the moment, we are in a pilot phase.
Okay.
So I have a partnership with 2 schools in Baton Rouge.
Mm-hmm.
We've engaged in several environmental justice initiatives in New Orleans.
Mm-hmm.
And we are closing the deal on school partnerships in Houston, Texas.
Okay.
And so what that looks like mainly is establishing a partnership with the schools.
Mm-hmm.
One of our initiatives, the Future Urban Water Leader Program,
mm-hmm.
it gives teachers a stipend
Okay.
to recruit about 10 students, preferably juniors and seniors. And that stipend has certain criteria,
okay.
Whereby those young people go through our program and they are able to engage in those environmental justice initiatives, those education tours, mentorship,
okay.
And also take part in Resilient Lab.
What's the age group?
11th and 12th grade at the moment is our target grade level.
Okay.
Because what I have observed is that we have a lot of young people who have not benefited from robust mentorship. And our goal is to recruit young people who have a lot of promise to get them caught up on a college and career matriculation process and get them involved in something positive.
So is this something that you guys will do as field trips, or is this something they'll do on a daily basis after an after school program, or is this built into the curriculum as an elective course? So maybe let's say I know you said juniors and seniors. Will they get out of school early to go out into the neighborhoods and do the work, or?
Yeah, that's a good question. The short answer is that it's mixed methodology.
Okay.
So it includes after school activities.
Okay.
It includes some in-school activities. Many of those activities, young people will get community volunteer credit. It does include, some community weekend activities with the community cleanups and those sorts of things, as well as the young people organizing and conducting an environmental justice fair. And so it's a mixture of things. It's not a course, but it is a club.
Okay.
That teacher sort of hosts.
Okay.
And there's a lot of flexibility the teacher has to keep those young people in a holding pattern so that we can achieve our goals, which is to see them graduate, see them increase their ACT score, see them pick up a certain amount of trash in the community, and see them take part in various educational opportunities.
Okay. Now, is it limited to just students in the public school system, or will you be partnering with charter, private, or even students in the juvenile detention centers?
Yeah, definitely juvenile detention centers for sure. And I'm open to charter schools as well. So for me, charter schools would be public schools, particularly if they're in areas that are disadvantaged. We're open to those partnerships.
Okay.
Not so much private schools. So.
Okay. So, and we touched on that. How many hours a day do you work as an entrepreneur?
I don't even count. It just depends. Sometimes you get up 4:30 to work out, and I'm a box checker. So I like to have certain goals and things I need to accomplish.
Okay.
So, for example, this was on my box today. And so I think being an entrepreneur requires you to be comfortable with ambiguity, but also ensure that you have certain goals and you can see how you're succeeding to those goals every day. Okay. Because it can get overwhelming if you're not organized.
Right. Okay, so what piece of advice do you have for any young people out there, or even older people that want to start a business and, get something going for themselves? What piece of advice would you give to the viewers out there?
Yeah, one is pray. 2, be realistic. 3, be organized. And 4, find a good mentor who's going to give you realistic and high quality advice and support. And I would also say be willing to grow and educate yourself. Because success comes with not necessarily looking at other people's end product, but understanding all of the minute details that goes into an end product. So, for example, we started the Resilience Art clothing line, and it's just started, and we've had some sales, which I haven't even officially launched it.
Okay.
But there are, 100 steps into launching a clothing line. So do you have the patience and the technical skills and the wherewithal to put those things together? So just being realistic about your competency level as it relates to what you want to do.
Okay. All right. So tell us, how can others get involved with your program? How can they get in touch with you? Are you seeking any help in the stages that you're in right now?
Yes, absolutely. The website is resilientfutureleaders.org.
Okay.
And so there's ways to connect and message me on resilientfutureleaders.org.
Okay.
Also, engage with us on social media with @resilience is art.
Okay.
On both Instagram and Twitter.
Okay.
And again, on the website, you're able to leave message to volunteer for community cleanups, mentorship, make donations, and those sort of things.
Okay. All right. Well, Michael Mckenzie, it's been a joy having you on our channel today. We want to thank you for coming to share all of this wonderful information with us. Do you have anything else that you would like to leave the viewers with? Any advice or any takeaways?
No, thank you. And I guess the last thing I'd like to leave the viewers with, resilience is power. And be resilient.
Awesome.
You get knocked down, get up.
Awesome. All right. Well, that concludes this week's video, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for watching. Sorry about that. Don't forget to give this video a like, subscribe, hit that notification bell for more videos like this to come.